Linda Marie Barrett. I'm the Executive Director of SIBA, and we're thrilled to see so many people here on a Monday morning for this really great event. I've watched Mary Beth present on press kits and on pitching to publishers several times, and I always come away with something that I want to tweak for SIBA. So I know you'll be inspired and you'll find concrete ways to update or create for the first time your press kit, and you'll succeed in catching publisher attention. So Mary Beth is going to lead you through a very full presentation. She is the Dean of NAIBA's Professional Bookseller Schools Event Management, and she's the events planner at Booktown in Manasquan, New Jersey. She'd like you to put your questions in the Q&A, and we'll be checking in throughout the presentation. And she may stop throughout her presentation to address them. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mary Beth, so you can get started.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. There's a zillion directions that you're going, being either running a bookstore or working in a bookstore, but I'm going to keep this as succinct as possible and hopefully valuable. Again, questions, just put them right in the chat and we'll get to them. Okay. So my name again is Maribeth. I have been a book event planner at Booktown for about 11 years. In the process of starting a brand new program for the store, they've never had one before. I felt like we needed some type of document to communicate efficiently what was good about, what were the selling points about Booktown. So Eileen and I came up with this idea of a press kit, and it has been 9 years since I've been presenting this webinar. And every year I'm like, I don't know, is it still relevant? Is it going to be still helpful? And you know, you guys always prove that there is interest in this. I know you want to do your best with your presentations with the publishers, and you're always trying to keep an edge. And so you're hoping that this will give you that. And I think it will. I think it does. I have been always surveying new booksellers to see what their struggles are, their challenges are. I'm also, as you just learned, I am a dean of the event management program in the professional bookseller certification program. This is one of the classes in the program. So we feel it's just still very important and relevant. And there's always a new update to the information that I share. So why are you here? You want to learn how to do a press kit for your store. Or if you have one, you want to refresh it, make sure you know that you have been hitting all the points that make it efficient and effective for your store and for the publishers to hear. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to, okay. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna. So there is a resource on the NAIBA website that allows you to see other bookstores' press kits. It is under resources, and there's a list. All those bookstores that are listed link to their press kit. So it's an amazing resource that you can look at, and please model what you like. Don't copy. Okay, so I know that's basic, but it just makes it easier, because as you'll learn as I'm going through my talk here, I want you to stand out and look unique from the other bookstores that we have in our district and in your area. Also, we will be recording this for a replay access, so it's a good time to just check out the YouTube channel for NAIBA, and you'll find past recordings, and you'll also find this recording in a few days after we conclude. Do not have to worry about taking crazy notes, detailed notes. There is going to be a checklist available for anyone who's attended this program, and that will give you a list to go through to say, okay, does my press kit have this, or do I need to add this? Just a running list of things that I feel are important to include. So you all have that. Another plug for speed dating, make sure that you're registered. It's a good time to let the publishers know, get on their radar as they're trying to navigate their authors, again, with maybe some new events that are in person, and get to know where you are in the country. Okay, so sign up for speed dating. You can sign up through SIBA and NAIBA. Speed dating week are these dates. I'm already registered. I'm going to be prepping. I'm going to be working with Peter, who owns Booktown, to make sure that we have our presentation down pat. So not only do I prepare a press kit, but I also prepare what we're going to talk about. Okay, so I do put some significant time into that presentation. So do you have a press kit? Please let me know in the chat. I know some of you are first timers here, but let me know if you have a press kit in the making. It's been in use for several years. If you could just let in the chat and let me see what's going on. Let's see, here's my chat. Anyone, if you have, we do not have a press kit. We're updating. Kathy, yep. Press kit, Candace, cool. Not yet, okay, all right. All right, some of you have seen one. Okay, we're gonna go on, thank you so much. So why have a press kit? You know, why do we take the time? Why have I been doing this for 9 years? I feel like this press kit is a good opportunity to promote your store. It's a tool in a sense. It's good for publishers, it's good for publicity contacts, it's good to share with authors, it's good to use for any other media partners or bloggers that you have that you feel could support and raise awareness of your store. And you can give them a document that just includes all the important selling points for your store. It also is a very good training tool for your staff and volunteers. I felt like once we started using the press kit, I was engaging the other staff members and booksellers into like what goes on beyond the store. And they needed to really understand that a major revenue stream for Booktown was to understand that we need to pitch ourselves for events and what are our selling points for our area, what types of authors we do well with, what kind of event systems are we making. And so that tool is now, it's just part of the conversation with when we onboard our new staff and volunteers to just have a pretty good understanding of what we do here at Booktown. It's an excellent marketing tool when you're looking to collaborate with partners. I love bringing this because ultimately when I talk to a partner, I want to talk about who's going to do what and who's really good at doing what. So when we talk to library partners, media partners, and I'm talking about like media partners like newspapers or bloggers, anyone who's like a local influencer, school partners. If they want to see what we can bring to the store, I show them my successes, and other venue partners that you may have, like theaters and restaurants and, you know, maybe some merchants in your downtown area. The list is wide and varied as far as venue partners as you get creative with your event programming. So I want to just stop right here because I want to make sure that if you are new to having a store, or even if you're seasoned, if you're new especially, don't feel overwhelmed by this information that we're going to start sharing. You build your program year by year, step by step, by having local authors or maybe non-author events, and then you build it up each year. So I just want you to take it in stride when you start seeing other stores' press kits that you'd be like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Compare your store to another new store that you think is doing well in another region, okay? And we'll talk about tips like that. I just wanted to make sure if I was channeling any overwhelm, I wanted to stop it right there. All right, so the press kit also is proof of what you have been doing successfully. You know, some of us are shy and we don't want to like toot our horn, but this is the time. This document is the place to toot your horn. And show off some pictures, show your numbers, and we'll talk all about different styles for that. The press kit is also a good place for you to articulate your goals for the coming year, or express what your goals were for the last year and see if you met them. I always like to look at the numbers as I'm updating it each year and say, like, how are they changing? Like, did we increase our social media followers, you know, our newsletter subscribers? Did I hit the type of events that I wanted? So every time I update this document, it's like a sense to look at how we reach goals and what goals we're setting for the new year. And in essence, every time we focus on something that we want to grow and we try to keep it very, you know, achievable, it does grow. So don't overwhelm yourself with trying to grow everything. Just pick a few things and go for it. Okay, so when you're preparing your press kit, This is one thing I always like cracked up in the beginning when I started doing this, because I would ask, we were defining what a press kit was in the very beginning, and I would get literally memoirs of stores of like what we did and who we are and where we are. And I just want to remind everyone that your audience is busy publicity representatives. They are trying to work with hundreds of stores around the country, and you want to be memorable to them. So this document, the way I give reviews on it and feedback is so we keep in mind who's reading it and what kind of information they are looking for, and how do we make it easy for them to find. So I'm going to be talking about formatting. I'm going to be talking about placement, what should be considered up on the top of the fold versus that could be down in the bottom. So you're going to hear feedback around those lines, but the point being, know who's reading this press kit, okay? So we're going to talk about what to include. It's going to sound basic, but it's amazing when we are trying to put all this information into a 2-page document that we forget to say, oh yeah, this is where we're located, or yeah, I'm the person that you would contact for events. You know, you forget to put that on the document, or you forget to name the document properly. So if you share it in an attachment to an email, they know who it's from, okay? So things like that, I like to just remind everyone. Concise is nice. I said about the memoir length, we don't need to do that. It's going to be so much better for you if you help spoon feed that information to your reader, specifically the publicity and the publishing departments.
Mary Beth, we do have a question of whether or not you should have different press kits for different audiences.
Good
like
question.
Your publisher versus a community partner.
That's a very good question. So I think what we're going to be covering right here is the press kit for the publisher, but you will see that you can easily do a derivative of it for a community partner, okay? So for a theater, I wanted to show our local theater that we could handle events that are on the larger scale. So I pulled out some of those smaller events, those non-author events that wouldn't be of interest to them, and I kept in our grid, and I'll show you what I mean by that, for my local theater event. And that was the initial pitch. But as you're starting out, if you have, just get one done. Just get one done and stick with that and make it as best as you can to be like a reusable tool for other partners. Don't overwhelm yourself. But good question. Yeah, I think once you get it developed and you have all these in-depth conversations, yeah, you can make a new version for a different partner. Clear, readable copies. So back in the day when we were meeting in person for speed dating, we would print 25 to 40 copies of our press kit and we would march into New York. I made the mistake many times of like making this beautiful press kit that was like had a blue background. It was small white font to try to get everything on, and it wasn't readable. It wasn't readable. So it was trash. You know, I'm being hard on myself, but I learned and I want to pass on my mistakes so you don't make them. So now we are more of a digital form of sharing our press kit with virtual speed dating sessions. So with that, make sure that you're not using too small of a script or unreadable on the digital screen fonts. Make sure that your pictures are not pixelated. You know, if you're sharing pictures in your press kit, you don't have to. But I'm just saying, make sure that it's readable on the screen or in print, however you're going to deliver it. But beware of using colors that are difficult to read in low lighting. That was that point. So again, it could be a PDF if we're still sharing our press kit digitally or attaching it to an email when we're in a conversation with the publisher. Use a PDF and send the whole document as a PDF, properly named. Or a lot of stores create a website page and they keep it hidden and they share the URL when appropriate. So I kind of like both ways because sometimes the URL, the web page gives you a lot more real estate to develop what you want. But again, for those that are starting out, keep it simple. And you could start out with a Word document and, you know, it doesn't have to be graphically beautiful in this, you know, extensive document. You don't have to worry about that. Get the main points on your press kit. So the main objective for this press kit is to highlight your unique selling points. Now, I'm emphasizing this because I got a little excited with the animation tool in Canva, but I just wanted you to know that it's so important for you to be able to stand out amongst your other booksellers. You know, it's always such a beautiful thing when we're sharing tips and tricks about different things that work well for us in our bookstore. But the publisher, the publicity contact who is talking with us and trying to understand, you know, what makes you different from the other 100 of bookstores that I'm going to be talking to. You know, you want to find out and articulate that in your press kit and also in your conversation with the publishers. You want to also highlight your focus areas. Yes, we all sell books, but is there a certain focus that you have that makes your store stand out, do well? You have a community that supports that. So, you know, identify that, make it clear, show us proof with the events that you've been doing or you want to do. Show us proof through sales that your community is in fact supporting those areas. A lot of conversations I've had over the 9 years, a lot of times the book owner wants to have a certain event, but the community isn't quite supporting it. So you've got to come to that middle ground of like, okay, I need to be able to show proof of events that are going to be supported by my community. And, you know, if those are your focus areas, if you do really well in them, please put them on your press kit. Highlight your events. We're going to talk about grids. And since that's a terminology that we're used to discussing with the publishers sending out their grids through Edelweiss, I wanted to represent something that was easy for them to look at as well. So we initially added this grid into the press kit. It hasn't left. Out of all the iterations of the ones that I've done, some stores have changed it. I'm going to show you some different options in representing your events in a grid format. And we're also going to talk about whether you feel comfortable putting in your sales and attendance or not. Some stores just absolutely do not. And that is fine. But I will tell you what the caveats are if you don't put in sales. I've been there and I've had to, you know, circumvent a press kit that didn't include sales. Also, if you're just starting out or if you're seasoned and you're still, you know, a lot of stores enjoy doing non-author events. At Booktown, we do as well. But you want to include them in your press kit. Why? Because it's an event and it shows community support and it can show sales, sometimes better and easier than if you have an author, but please include them. Respond to trends also. This is important. There are some things that are going on. Of course, we had the COVID, so we had to pivot to virtual, and then, you know, I don't know when in conversation started, but it seemed to just balloon even more so when we were going into virtual events. So respond to the trends that you see in Edelweiss, that you're hearing from the publishers, what you're hearing from your sales reps, that you're seeing other stores do. Put those types of formats into your programming and then represent them on your press kit. Should I stop, Kit? Do we have any questions?
Yes, we have a question, and it's not silly. It's about in terms of selling points for your store and what you specialize in. Can quality hand selling and bookseller recommendations be a selling point, or is that just too typical of indie bookstores?
It's not a silly question at all. It's a very good question. If you have, I honestly feel like that's what everyone should be doing. But if you have a particular way about going about it, that where your community is like, I need to know what you recommend. Like if there's this constant repeat of what you're hearing from your community, I would definitely let that stand out in your press kit and or in your conversation. Like we have this new way of selling books. You know, it's not just like we wait, you know, and to wait for that question of like, what other books do you recommend or whatever it is. So I says, yeah, I would definitely flush that out a little bit more and see how it comes across, and yeah, stand out if you have a unique way and it's being supported by your community. I hope that answers that question. Anything else? No. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. So responding to trends, that was my last point. Also, this came up last year, maybe right before COVID hit. I felt like it was more intense, and then it wasn't a hot topic as far as when I was having a conversation with the publicists. But they wanted to, and they were checking out my marketing and social media activity. It wasn't just me saying I did this or I did that. They were like, oh, let me see. And they would go to my Instagram or they would go to the stores, you know, I would forward them a newsletter. So I thought that was interesting. They just wanted proof of the pudding in that. So I want you guys to be ready to share that if that question comes up, and to also look at your marketing and your newsletters and make sure that it's something that would be representative of your store in a manner that is promoting the events the way you want. Okay. Also, very, very important that I've learned over the years is that I always want to make sure I'm bringing something new to the table, to the conversation. And so in the past, I was like, and I kept it simple. It wasn't like, oh, I need to have this grandiose thing. It would be like, we're ready to do events from, this is in the beginning now, 50 to 100. I'm ready to go to that tier. And do I have those partnerships in play? Do those partnerships have the accommodations and the systems and marketing that I like, that are comparable with the way we like to do events? So yes, if that's the case, then that's the partner I'm going to focus on building events. If it's like, I want to do more school events, that's, and I've established an event that was successful, I want to put that into my grid. That is something that's new for my store, for my programming. And I always like to look at what I'm bringing new to the conversation for the publishers. I recommend that to you at any level, okay? And chunk it down to small accomplishments so you don't overwhelm yourself. I hope there's comments on that. I hope that makes you think of your presentations upcoming in March. Okay, this is the fun part. There is some of your attendees have given me their press kits to review. And so I call it like, it's a quick review. It's live. I put the press kit up in the screen and we all get to look at it. And I provide feedback, and also Linda, Marie, and Kit will be jumping in as well. But feel free to add questions about a press kit that you saw if you wanted clarity on something, or if you had comments to make it stronger. So these are the stores that have submitted, and I will be showing you press kits. Some of them I've been working with in the past through the professional booksellers class for event planning. So so Frenchtown is one I'm going to show you, but I reached out to Scott to ask him if I could use his press kit because he's a new store owner, and he had a question. He commented on my question, and it was like, he was having difficulty getting in the loop with the publishers. So he decided that he was going to continue with his press kit, but work on more regional, local authors to build his chops with events, and then go back to the publishers and show proof of the pudding again with his press kit. So I was like, oh, I figured his press kit was working well because I liked it. But it wasn't quite there yet for him to have the trust or the proof for the publisher. So he is actively working on building his press kit and building his events so he can have, valuable, effective conversations with the publishers. So for those of you starting out new, no, you're not alone. Okay, I didn't want to do that. So one momento. Okay, I guess something was a hyperlink in there. I just want to show you some of the other stores that I'm going to be reviewing their press kit for. Okay. Books and Greetings, Kizzy's Books, Booktown, ours, Newtown. One question that Kathy came in from Newtown, she said, how do you change a very successful looking press kit pre-COVID to a not as successful post-COVID press kit? And I am going to address that because Booktown definitely felt that, and I'm sure we all have. So we'll talk about that. And Main Point Books, and I think that's the last one. So, okay, so I'm going to now switch to Frenchtown. Okay, I'm going to try to make this big screen so everyone can see it. Is that large enough, Kit?
We are still seeing your other screen share. So I think you need to stop and switch which screen you're sharing.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, folks. Let me see here. Okay, we'll try it this way. How's that? You should
That
see
looks good.
Frenchtown's. Okay. Okay, so Frenchtown's, again, is a new store. They opened up in July. And so they give the who we are, where we are, and a little bit about what they're doing. So I just wanted to show you that he's, again, this is in progress. They have opened up in July, and they give a little blurb about the area that they're in. Okay, the type of community that's there, and a good solid partnership for them that will yield book sales. Okay. You can get a visual of the store here in some outdoor events. Important information that he's building is that he's telling me how the size of his store, that there is a cafe, and his size of his volume, which I probably would tell him to leave that out. It's 3 pages. I personally like to keep it at 2 or 1. But if you are an experienced store and you have a lot of information, you can go to 3. So as Scott develops this press kit, it'll be formatted different. My feedback would be different, but knowing where he is in his programming, I'm not going to overwhelm him with all the specifics, you know, but he has important information about where he's located, how far he is from major cities, which is very important because when the publicists are planning their dispatching of their authors, as we get back to in-person events, they want to know the distance and how to map out a tour. So some of you still may be doing virtual, of course, but still the regions that you cover, the regions that your store is near, also has the publicist is thinking about media if it's a big event, or even if it's a small event where local papers are in your neighborhood. What I like about this is that he labels in-store events. He talks about the occupancy for the in-store event. That's important. And he did include notable events here. So again, it's not in a grid form, but I'm not gonna, you know, focus on that. It's what he's sold, the author, what he's sold, and it's in person for some of these, okay?
We do have a question that's really important from Alexander about whether or not to include whether you report to the New York Times. It is imperative that you include that because there are publicists who will not even consider you if you are not a New York Times reporting bookstore.
Who asked that question?
Alexander.
Alexander. I'm going to give you an example, case study. I was talking to a publicist a few years ago, and they were giving me an event that was going to be clearly in the middle of a area where there was 2 other bookstores that could support that event. And so I was like grateful for this opportunity, but I had to ask, why Booktown? We're so out of the area. And they're like, well, those other 2 bookstores don't report to the New York Times, and I know you guys do. So I was like, what? How could that even be overlooked? So that is on my checklist. It is it's imperative that you put that on your, let it be known. And also it's easy to do. So if you're not reporting, and we're going to have that's going to come up in some of my reviews, get registered with New York Times and any other association that's going to be taking in book sales. So I just wanted to show you this press kit because this is what, it's not a beautifully graphical document. It's just a Word doc with some important data that needs to be on there. I would change some things as Scott's growing his programming, but I'm not going to overwhelm him with that. I think it's a good start, and next year it will be even better. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing this one, bear with me, and I want to get to the next one. So bespoke. I'm going to share this one. Sorry, folks. Let's see, bespoke. No, okay. So the next one is bespoke books and archives. I'm going to show you how many pages it is. It's 2, okay, front and back. Right away, I like that I can see the store logo. I can see where they are, okay. I like small broken up paragraphs here that they opened in July. Okay, another new store. Congratulations. Downtown Leesburg, Virginia. The in-store capacity is 25, and they have access to larger spaces. She's giving me the marketing breakdown right here, marketing section, social media. I'm going to go over the sections: advertising, active memberships, events since opening. I would make sure that you're growing this newsletter, and I would also get rid of the plus minus, because we know that your followers come and go. Just give it a solid 100 on that one. Local print here. If you are going to add that you have local print advertising on your press kit and they are effective for supporting your events, then name the outlet, name the media source, okay? It just makes the press kit more specific, and you can support it with data that it has been helping you. I have had to take some print advertising off my press kit because we're just not using it as much. But if you are and you're using it for real, please name it. Okay, so active members. I'm just looking at my notes that I made here. Events since opening, this is fine. So there's no attendance and sales. So my question would be, why? Why isn't there? And that if it's because you're not comfortable putting your sales, fine, but be prepared to talk to the publisher about them. Have a grid separate so you can say what this, that, and the other event did. And in this list, I would bold or highlight in a different way your benchmark for whatever it is, a virtual event, for an in-person event, for a children's event, the ones that you feel should be standing out and the ones that you're using to launch from and improve upon. I hope that makes sense.
Maribeth, we have a question about advertising and outlets, and it is, would you include an information like that you underwrite your local NPNR station?
You underwrite it? What does that mean?
I believe she means she's a sustaining supporter. Lynn, please hop in if I am incorrect.
So you're an advertiser on NPR?
Well, it's not an advertiser, but the local NPR stations, you know, in between, they'll say under this program, underwritten by.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So it's essentially being like a commercial, a business that does donate money, but it's an underwriting partner rather than an individual donor. So
that's cool.
It's like on certain programs, they'll say this program underwritten by, or brought to you, is supported by. So
it's wonderful awareness for your store. So if you have data to support that, if you put it on your press kit as it, like you've just said, I would also antidote it with, how people have heard from you. Has it raised awareness? Because in the end, the publishers and publicity, they want to know about sales. They want to know about awareness, so that's the bottom line here, folks. So yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing things like that, creative ways to use ad dollars. Okay, so again, just going back here, I like to break up long paragraphs, columns of text and whatnot to make it easy for people to read. So I would probably pop something out of here and say this was an awesome event, and be ready to talk about it. Otherwise, they're going to glaze over it, and we don't want them to glaze over anything. Everything on this press kit needs to earn its real estate place. What I like about this is that they have their program partners here, and I would like to know if these program partners are for doing events and what the occupancy is. So you have their logos in there, and that's nice to cross brand like that, but I don't know what the occupancy, what they can accommodate as far as an event. Also for you, Bespoke, it also lets you know, like, these are my partners for 0 to 50 events. These are my partners for 50 to 100, so forth. I like to categorize them. So you probably already know that, but it's not as clear as it could be on your program, under your program category. Upcoming events. So this is kind of fun. she's got a lot in her pipeline, and she's, you know, as long as this is up to date, I like that's something to talk about. And if there's anything that's going to be ticketed, I think that should be added if you're doing that. We'll get into more about the revenue and the income that we're how we're planning events. So if they're free or virtual, you know, just make that known, because it makes a difference nowadays since we're post-COVID. I shouldn't say post-COVID, but COVID pivoting. Okay, let me just make sure on my notes. That's all I had. So see how this is here at the bottom? I actually suggest that they move that up to the top because it's so important. They could put it right above or on top, above or below their events. Okay, because that was like the question in my head. And as soon as I had that question, I want it to be answered, like I said, you know, ASAP. Because I'm looking at 100 different stores and figuring out where I can place my authors and who would be the best fit. So I know where you are, and I know you're already reporting, and I know your events you've been doing that are successful, and I want to know what you're showing me what you have coming up. I would like to know numbers if I'm the publicity person. Okay. Kit, anything you see on that, or Linda Marie? Okay. All right. I hope that's helpful. Linda Marie, did you have something?
No, I was saying I haven't seen any questions, so.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move on. Let's see. So it's like I can't.
I did put it in chat, but I do want to mention that bold, italics, and bullet points are your friends when it comes to your press kits, because the clearer and simpler it is for the publicist to pick out the information that they're searching for, is just going to benefit you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now the next press kit I'm going to bring up is books and greetings. Okay, can everyone see that, Kit? You can see that? Okay, so books and greetings. Been a bookstore since 2007. They have done a ton of events. They specifically work with celebrity authors. So this could be way different from what your store does. And they chose not to show attendance and sales. Strongly on that position, so it will never happen. He will be able to, of course, support that. But I just wanted to show you a different way to show a press kit with the list of authors, what they do well, what the categories are of the authors that they do. Oh my goodness, what they do well with, who the event contact is, right there, front and center. That's who they call. They report right away, right here on the front page. Here are some pictures of the events that they've done. I always think that adds, because we are a visual generation, and so pictures do speak. We've just repeated the information of who to contact and where we're located here. Different media partners, types of marketing. So the marketing for this store is very unique. They blow up huge signs and fill up their windows. Okay, so that's a conversation that's unique. Not every store does that. And they go through all these other steps diligently about promoting their events. And they have proof in the pudding when it comes to numbers, but that he will have that conversation on the side with the publisher. These are also venue partners that he continues to work with, and he's had very unique events with. So that's just another way to present information. Again, I personally like a footer on every page, or a header at least. So if this ever did get printed, it's identifiable to what store it is. Because again, when someone's looking at 100 stores across the country, I want my store to be able to stand out. Okay. So let's go to my next one. Okay, Kizzy's Books and More. Awesome color. I mean, just right away, this press kit pops and is, you know, graphically done well. So in the About Us, we learned that the store has been established since 2018. Trinessa the area that the store is focusing on. Down here, we talk about the marketing, how many subscribers they have. Again, the reason why I'm interested in the subscribers is I want to see that it's growing and that you have, you have people who you have been effectively building your list on things. So that's all. We're not comparing here, but it's just so you can have a conversation with the publisher about how many people you're trying to reach through your own channels. She identifies what she advertises in her newsletter. That's great. She has book conversations. I kind of like that, headliner there and what she does with that. But as I was reading this, I wanted to know, is this a brick and mortar store or is this an online store? And I found out on this page that it was currently an online bookstore. I feel that should be up here. So that's my feedback on that one. When it comes to metrics and analytics, you have your social media followers. To me, that's marketing. What you're following is on those platforms. Metrics, since you're an online bookstore, I would put your website stats. I would add some important stats that are selling books. Okay, so that's how I would, if you're going to keep this header here. Otherwise, I would change it to marketing or in social media. Let's see here. See, especially since you have this must sold list here from your website, and these numbers are amazing. So again, I think you can substantiate the online model with these sales and if they're tied into an event. Another thing I've learned through the professional booksellers class is that if you have an online store, it's important to have partnerships. And I really want you to promote your partnerships in this. So maybe in future plans, there's a partnership that you think would be a good marketing partnership to raise awareness for an event, or a good, you're doing a joint event together and you're going to split the revenues. I don't know. But I think that's important for an online model and to show proof of the pudding in that way as well with your grid. So again, I would improve your area where you say stats. I would, since you're an online store, look at your analytics for your website and see what's working. And then you have how to reach us. That's fine. That's clear. So I did also think that you should add a year to the top of this, so I knew that this was your press kit for this year. Or what year are we talking about? Are we talking about several years? That was my feedback on there. Kit?
There is one thing I would add about this one in particular, and that is specifically to the fact that the publicity speed dating that is coming up is all going to be digital presentations of your kits. And the font color on this is far too light for a digital presentation. It's very hard to read. Also, in dim lighting in person, which our publicity speed dating is often held in a particular place where it is a little bit dimmer, it would be very hard to read there as well. So the bold works and that pops, but you can't read the rest of it.
Correct. Yep. So again, when you're make sure you don't hold too tight to your design feature if it's going to compromise the readability of your document. Any questions in the chat before I go to the next?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Good. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to show you book towns right now. So I have been sticking to what?
Mary Beth, it looks like there is a question from Isis.
Go for it. I can't read it.
She's, I wondered if Isis could be unmuted.
Isis, unmute. Let's hear you.
Sorry, just very briefly, from the last press kit that we were just reviewing, Kizzy's Books and More, the chunk about like most sold books on our website, is that kind of information useful only if there's room, basically? Or is that something worth hanging on to, like making room for?
Okay, so let me just bring that back up for everyone to see. Okay. So Izzy, this is your store? No, this is not your store. Okay. So is this worth keeping in this on this press kit? It's the way you're selling books for this store. So it's important that we know from the publishers and publicity point of view how you are selling books and what formats or methods that are working to sell books. So yeah, I think this is a very important, probably the strongest part of the press kit in my eyes when I'm thinking about who's reading this. Okay. Good question. All right, so I'm going to go back to.
Catherine is asking if there's a way to get feedback from publishers on our press kits after the speed dating. Curious to get a non-bookseller point of view. Absolutely. I know, I can tell you right now, Dominique Jenkins of Macmillan is happy to talk to anybody about their press kits or their pitches. Laura Fan from Random House will also talk to you about best pitches practices. And so I'm sure that there are plenty that Tim Hepp from Simon & Schuster is a sales rep, but he's happy to help people if you're in
Karen Torres. Karen Torres from Hachette.
From Hachette.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And that is how I really figured out what is best to keep on this press kit, by asking them, are we still relevant? Is this still making sense? Is this what you're interested in? So yeah, definitely reach out to them on the side, especially if you're going to be following up after your speed dating appointment. It's a good reason to have more of engagement. Okay, so Booktown, not a graphical document. I am not a designer, but I wanted to get information on there. So I have used this template, and every year I'm like, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it, but I am always pressed for time and reviewing other press kits that I never get to mine. So aside from all the graphic opportunities that this document has, I just wanted to show you, I still keep it to 2 pages. I am determined, probably eventually one day we will have to add to it. But I just want to walk you through my thinking here. So it's a little bit about Booktown. A lot of things that are associated with Booktown is being at the beach. We're a shore community. But what the publishers hear is that they think we are just a summer resort, and it's not. So I have to put in big bold that we are a year-round community with a thriving book buying community all year round, with events all year round. So I drill that in because never fails. I always meet a publicist who doesn't really know the area, not familiar with Booktown. They're brand new to their position, and I need to re-educate. So I'm fine with that. I keep doing that happily. And then I go through our marketing, our sales reporting, our memberships, our social media, our actual advertising, where we do advertising, our book clubs, who our school partners are, and who I can rely and go back with and get feedback from these PTOs and PTAs, associations. They know us and they support us, and we try to be the first bookstore that they think of when they have an event. Also colleges. So at one time or another, this was a new offering that we had to sell books, and that was a subscription club. This year, we are going to have a new space. So I'm going to add that to my press kit and describe the occupancy for that area. So I'm trying to, again, bring something new to my press kit. This is how I present sales and attendance for our past events. I do not list all our events. I list our best events, and I put it in a grid form. And these titles have changed over the years. But what has always been clear is that I want to break out the publisher, the title of the book, and the author, so they can identify who I'm doing business with. The format. It's always important for me and for them now to understand, again, what was the revenue format? Was it a bundled ticket or was it free? Was it a virtual or in person? So I put all that into this column. I put in the attendance, and then I put in the sales. So I don't have to have this supplement document available. I've been back and forth with the different owners that we've had at Booktown. And when I didn't have sales listed, it was a question. And I just didn't want to create any doubt with in the conversation with the publicist in our ability. So I confidently put our numbers out there. and they may not be the best compared to this store or that store or where I want to be, but I stand strong on these events that I want to highlight for Booktown, for an all year round community at the beach. So, and these are our venues, and I'm super clear about our capacities because I'm always to make, this is my livelihood, because we are 1,000 square feet store and every bit is accounted for as far as space in a chair. And, you know, when we have in-person events, when we get them back to, and also it'll be an issue when we, you know, I want to definitely highlight that when we have our new space. So these are my partners. This is my livelihood of how I can increase and grow my program through partnerships. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, we're going to go to, want to go to Newtown. And for some reason it's not, oh, let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm just going to find it now on my desktop because I had it all organized. Any questions or comments while I'm doing this? I would love to hear your feedback. I would love to hear how you're feeling about your story, your events. Are you getting ideas? Well, I'm gonna go.
Catherine used to use before times and after times regarding the COVID era.
Yes. Yes, but it's good to have something to say about that pivoting period and that transition. Well, how did you do? What did you do? Did you do not? Were you not able to do anything? Or were you able to do these virtual events? And out of those virtual events, was there any successes? You know, it's like going back to basic times, you know, like what, again, the publisher, their goal, their end goal hasn't changed. They want to sell books. They want to know who they can partner with to send their authors to. So many ideas to improve. Okay, good, good. Okay, let me go. I'm going to not share because I cannot find Kathy's Newtown on my desktop. I don't know why. So let me just pull her up. Okay. Go to this attachment. Alrighty, here we go. All right. Here we go. All right. Newtown. I reviewed their press kit before, and I think they're still doing well. I've seen them grown and I like what they're doing. This is under construction, so it's not complete, but I just love the fact that they sent it to me as is, and they're just like, well, just give us some feedback so we're, you know, going in the right direction. So again, they have learned to make some things pop in their paragraphs to format. So they're in a shopping center, which is, in my mind, is like foot traffic. So I like that they highlight that. I like here that they have 2 traditional book discussions. I would bold that each month, and virtually they have the poetry, which to me shows consistent in hopefully sales. So talk about that, you know, make that pop. That is, if you can encourage people to come together under your brand and they are thinking about buying books and they are buying books, that needs to be highlighted in bold. Okay, so they've they have their partnerships here. Again, when they go into the final draft of this, I think this should be popping out because they have the opportunity to do larger scale events. Right down below, again, I just wanted to make sure when they're doing these numbers and updating them that they're seeing them go in the up direction. They're increasing their followership, their likes, you know, they're looking at the insights. I mean, the good thing about Instagram and Facebook is that you do have the capability of looking at your insights. So it's a great time as you're updating this to look at your social media analytics. I like this chart here, of course. It follows the basic template that we've established. Again, the author, the publisher, the venue, and she pops it in red that it's a bundle. And of course, that is a love. They love that. The publishers love that ultimate ticket. But again, if you're starting out and you're doing free events, that's perfectly fine too. And so she talks about attendance and sales, okay, which are awesome. She has some great events here. Let me just look at my notes. I wanted this, I just made a note about highlighting more of your because you have a few years under your belt, Newtown. I would like to see your unique selling points come out more on this. So whether you have like that poetry, like, are you attracting more poetry writers, more poetry community? Are you doing workshops with that? Like, I don't know, think about what is making you stand out amongst the others, and maybe kind of let it come out more on your documents. Also, back on this grid, I made a note. Do you have any non-authors? Are you doing any of those non-authors? Just to add to the conversation. Again, I'm always looking for what the store would consider their benchmark event. And I'm wondering if this Brian Kilmeade event has upped their systems and their efficiency and overall, like they've educated the community on what type of events they're going to be doing. If that is your new benchmark for this year, I would definitely talk about that in your presentation or conversations at speed dating. Okay, this is the second page. Again, I would probably, what was I saying about this? Yeah, no, I thought that was all good. Again, I think the font's a little small, so you wanted to pop a little because it's so important for them to understand the capacity for your store and also for your partners. This was a great grid too. I like this about the school, their school community. And I would also like to see what you've done recently in school events. I found that for virtual events for schools, I've been able to reach out to more schools since with the COVID protocols. So it was better than, I was doing better with virtual school events than I was with in-person events. So that's something, if that's the case that you're finding, definitely talk about that. So again, we have your advertising and the travel, where you are from major cities and how to get there. That helps for a publicist who does not know your area, and some pictures. So again, they're going to be improving upon this, but I think it's broken up into good sections. They have their header footer, and I'm assuming that, yes, this is the event contact. So it's all the checklist points are there. All right, I have one more. Just want to show you, this is the checklist that you'll be getting. It's updated every year. We got to figure out how to get that to you. Okay. Okay, folks, I know we're at the top of the hour, so I'm going to let you look at this one. This one just sort of made me happy because of the colors, but there's a lot going on. So it's like, let's just make sure for readability, we have everything that we need. So we have where they are, who the event planner is, okay, what there is there, this is where they are again. This is how many events they've done a year, so it's significant. They are poised in position to bring live events back, and they kind of pop that in the yellow. They are reporting. Let's see here. I like this here. I like this author partnership that I saw here. I thought that was good, and it made me think about like, oh, who could I use that for? You know, like, again, I'm modeling something after another store. I'm not going to copy it. But it's like, oh, that's a good thought, that they are the home bookstore for this author, and they have how much significance that is for their store. Okay. Other unique ways of how they get their marketing out is they use Meetup. Okay, I don't see that often, and I like that. This is how they've adapted and thrived. I mean, that's right there. This is the pivot. And this is a conversation, if anyone wanted to drill down on that, what they're found as their new benchmarks. And again, here's the grid at the bottom. And I'd like to know the revenue. Since they're established in doing events, and so many events that they've actually said, you know, in this document, I would like to know, if I was publicity, Are these ticketed or not? Are these free? How did you do that? You know, so I think that's important at this stage of where they are in their maturity of speed dating. So I'm gonna pop out of this. I would love to know if we have any questions. I want to be very cognizant of time here. Can I answer anyone's questions? Okay, I'm going to wrap up then. I may have, no, I think we're good. I hit everyone's. So let's just see. We're going to go back to all these screens. I'm going to go back to sharing because I have just some closing slides I want to make sure that we cover.
Maribeth, one of the press kits had listed venues with fees involved. Is that something worth mentioning?
I don't think it's necessary, but you know, when you're in, it's good for your store and your staff to know, but it's important when you get into a conversation with the publisher about, okay, we're going to have an event and we pitched it for this venue, that they know in that pitch that there's going to be a cost. So there's going to be probably a ticket that's going to have the margin in there. But to answer your question, I probably wouldn't have it on my general press kit.
I wouldn't.
I think they get out of date, things change. There's so many variables in a contract and you don't need to reveal that quite yet. Okay, so if you are still unsure about your press kit and you want to have it looked at by me before speed dating, I'm here for you. Just email me, okay? And we'll either schedule time on the phone or we can do stuff in the email. I give it a quick review, kind of like what I did, to just look at the different points that I feel should be covered and get to know a little bit about your store. So don't hesitate. Also, I have been talking to stores about if they want to, you know, how to do a speed dating conversation. And last year we had a class on that as well, how to prep booksellers on presenting to publishers. So I don't know if there's a recording of that, but I'll leave that as an open-ended question. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Which recording were you just asking about?
There was a recording last year of I think it was someone in publicity or someone who had tips for booksellers to present to publishers. I remember that last year.
That was Dominique and mine. There is a recording of that. I think it's housed in NVNR though.
And I thought there was one just right before their speed dating appointment.
Oh, how to pitch yourself. That's also one of SIBA's. Linda Marie, what was her name?
Bren McLean
Yes.
presented on how to present during the actual speed dating experience. And so we do have a list of all those resources on our NVNR website. You can email us and we'll send you a link to see any of those things that could help you prep.
So please take advantage of all those resources. I mean, back in the day, 9 years ago, these weren't all available, but if you want to prepare yourself for this very important opportunity to be in front of this many, you know, how many publishers sign up for speed dating, it's a great opportunity. I encourage you to take the time or identify a staff member to make it their project to get ready and prepared for that meeting, and also your press kit. So you have me, you have SIBA, you have NAIBA, you have the list of press kits on NAIBA's website. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve upon and look at different models. And that's all I have. I really appreciate you all being here.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you, everyone.